So my client is a former Major League Baseball player, and he asked me to create stools using his bats with his name on them. So I started by creating about a 16¼ inch block of wood, an 1.5 inch thick maple. I found the center of that, and I drew these 4 lines so I know where center is, and then I used that same line to measure up 3¼ inches and mark the spot where I'm going to drill the holes for the bats or the legs to protrude through the seats. So once we're done here on my Grizzly bandsaw, we're going to go over to the router table and using a CMT orange flush trim bit and a template, I cleaned up all of the edges of the seats. I made them all even and just got them really, really clean and smooth, actually. So once we're done here, we're going to the drill press. And this is where the first issue comes into be. I needed to drill an 11-degree hole through the seats in order for the legs to protrude through. Now, I use my digital meter and I set my drill press at 11 degrees. And as you can see, I've clamped the seat here, and I did this with all 4 of them. And you'll see that there are pencil marks, and I actually have an awl hole there, so my Forstner bit hits the right spot. So once we're done here, we're going to go to the table saw, and we're going to pause for a second. So let's pause right here for a second and talk about the challenges that I had with the table saw. Now, I certainly tried this on my chop saw, and I found that the table saw was a much easier process to do with this. So first thing I need to know is I need to cut, again, an 11-degree angle here. So using my digital meter, I actually had to set my blade at 89 degrees. So it's tilting towards the bat at 89 degrees. So that's going to give me that actual 11-degree angle that I need to go through the hole to match the hole on my seat that I just drilled. The other issue that I had here is that block you see clamped, because the bat obviously is not even, the handle is narrower than the rest of the bat or the barrel of the bat. The blade, when I pushed it through, would want to push the blade toward, or the bat towards me or towards the miter gauge, thus messing up my angle. So this block of wood here kept that bat straight, so it didn't move at all. The other challenge I had, and you don't see it in the video here, is the client's name is on the bat. And he wanted to be able to see his name when you looked at the stools. So the bat, the name has to show out away so that people looking at the stools can see the name. So I had to make sure that happened. I hope I explained that well enough. And you'll see that in the pictures later. So I cut all these. So let's cut all of these bats, and then we will continue talking about how I finished the seats. Now, unfortunately, I did not video the assembly of the stools. Honestly, I forgot. But really, that was the easy part. Once I got all of these angles figured out, assembly was a piece of cake. So let's go ahead and finish this, and then we'll get to finishing them. Okay, so we're to the finish stage of these stools that I made for a client. And just to review, these are actual bats that were used in MLB games. My client played in Major League Baseball for a few years. Not sure exactly how many, but these are the actual bats that he purchased and used in the games. And if you look really close, you can see they're nicked up. There's pine tar on them. Some of the other ones that I have here don't have as much pine tar, but they're darker, but you can certainly see the nicks where the balls have hit them. So we made them into stools. It was quite a challenge for those interested. This is 11-degree angle for the bat or the leg of the stool, and we left it in from the edge about 3¼ inches from to the center of the bat. It was fun, it was interesting, but we're to the finish process at this point. So I want to show you what I'm going to do to finish the maple. We're going to leave the bats alone. Nothing's going on the bats. We're just going to finish the seats themselves. And I've decided to use Rubio Monocoat Oil Plus 2C Clear. Now, I've used it once before on a table that I have in my house. It went pretty well, so I wanted to use it for these. Let's see how it goes. You're going to see some. I've not only used this once before. I've looked at a lot of videos, and there are a number of people out there that have really good videos. But here's what I'm going to do. So I've purchased these syringes to mix it with. And the mistake I made last time when I was working is I mixed some, didn't have enough. So I had to go back and mix it again. Well, I found out that I was using the same syringe for each one, which was a mistake. I had them both out, but I picked up the wrong one. So what I've done is I labeled this one 3, and this will be for the actual oil. And this is number 1. So this is for the hardener because it's a 3-to-1 mix. That way, if I pick it up, I'll at least know if I have to remix it that I'm picking up the right one. So let's get this started. I'm using tongue depressors to stir this with, and I'm using a plastic cup to mix this in. So let's open this up. I found that I have to be very gentle with these cans because they are pretty soft metal, which really surprises me considering what's in them. So let's get them up and out. I know I don't need rubber gloves, but I'm going to put them on anyways just because I want to. I probably should have had them out and putting them on to begin with. But here goes. All right. So let's mix this really good. Now, I've seen people use a scraper to put this on with. I'm going to use this pad to use it just because it's a small area and I have sides that I want to get as well. So that's stirred up really well. And then we're going to open up the hardener so I have them both opened. Again, I find that the cans are pretty soft, not like opening a paint can. So I want to be careful I don't mess the seal up. Okay, so that's there. Okay, so let's take number 3, and because I have actually 4 stools to do, I'm going to fill this all the way up to 10 milliliters. Now, and actually, I'm going to do this 3 times. So I'm going to end up with 30 milliliters. Okay, and I'm going to set this one aside. But it says 3, so if I need to go back to it, it's there. And then I'm going to take this guy, and 3 to 1 should be 3 milliliters. And I'm going to set that aside. Now, I'm going to take this stir out of here. Nope, you know what? I'm going to be safe and I'm going to use a new one. And I'm just going to stir this up. Now, honestly, I forget how long they told me to stir it up. But stir it up really good here. And I understand I have some time to use this, so I'm not going to rush the process. So what I need to do is I'm going to put it on the seat here, and I'm also going to put it on these supports right here. All right, so in this instance, I am just, because I want to do both, according to everyone I've read, I want to do both top and bottom at the same time. So I am going to pour this on. And I'm just using this pad. I forget what I call them, but I'm going to link that in the description. And I am just rubbing this on. And it does go a very long ways. I found that the first time I did it. So it's not like I have to pour a lot on here. Rub it in there really good. And it does go a very long ways, a little bit. I'm getting my curve a little bit so I don't miss that when I get to the other side. Get at the bottom of the bat where I had to sand a little bit just so it kind of matches. Okay. Okay, now go flip it over. All right, so I'm going to bring it down in front of me because I can't work up there. I'm going to pour a little bit on here as well. And this pad allows me to work it right into the round over that I have on the stool. And then make sure I got everything covered. Now, one thing that everybody talks about with this is if you miss a spot, you can go back right over it if you have to, and it will cover that without leaving overlap marks. So I'm going to leave this for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and wipe it off. So let's set this here. Let's clean off my hands. Let's wait 5 or 6 minutes and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. So I know you can't see it right now, but I'll show you to you in a second. I'm going to start with just taking some of these blue shop rags and I'm going to wipe off the excess here. I find that they work very well with a lot of things in the shop. And I'm just taking off the excess. I want to get down to the bottom and around that. Okay, now, because this is the top, and I don't want to finish this yet, so I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the bottom, and then I'm going to come back and redo the top again. So I've got both the top and the bottom wiped down pretty good with this blue shop rag. So basically I'm just getting all the excess oil off. And now what I want to do is I want to take this cotton rag and I'm going to wipe it off just a little bit. I want to make sure I don't have any of the residue left. Okay, and the reason I did this way is because when I flip it over, now I'll clean up the top and make it look fine. Missed one little spot right there. Just kind of touch it up a little bit. Okay, so there's nothing on this rag. It's clean now. So now let's flip it over. And we'll do the same thing up here. And I want to wipe it down until I'm pretty clean right here. Let's flip it one more time. Okay. That's it. I am done. So let me move the camera so you can see what this looks like, and I'm going to put it next to one of the other stools that's unfinished so you can see the difference with finished and unfinished. Hold right on. Okay, so there you go. The one closer to me is the one that is finished, and the one behind it, or you can actually see the two behind that are unfinished. This oil plus 2C brings out the natural grain and color of the wood and just enhances it, gives it a nice matte finish. So let's go ahead and get the rest of the stools done, and we'll finish up this process for you. Okay folks, so here we are. I am done with this project. This was a great project to work on. Again, these are all Major League Baseball bats that we used as legs for these stools. My customer is a former player. And we finished these with Rubio Monocoat. And if you can tell, and it's probably hard to tell because I can't swing around, but I am in my wife's dining room. And the reason I brought them in here to dry is because I just don't have the room in the shop and I want to continue to work on other projects. But because Rubio doesn't have a bad, overwhelming aroma to it, these can sit in the house and dry now. So let's show you what I used. I used Rubio Monocoat Oil Plus 2C Pure with the accelerator, and the Pure gives it a clear matte finish. And as you can see, it just enhances the beauty of that hard maple that I used for the seats. Fun project. I appreciate Rubio Monocoat and the ease it is to put on their finish. Now I may put a second coat on Monday, but at this point right now I'm very happy with the finish. We'll see if I need to put a second coat. So in the meantime, I hope you have enjoyed watching me work through the process of drilling the angles, putting the legs on, putting everything together, routering these out. This has been a great project. I appreciate the confidence that my client had in me to finish these. If you have any questions, please feel free to ping me, leave comments that you want. And in the meantime, keep making sawdust, and God bless.